Everyone in Valorant has at some point experienced the tidal wave of abilities raining hell upon them as they try to enter sight, only to be flashed, slowed, mollied, and tagged by a Sova dart. Ability spam like this is the heart and soul of Valorant, so why not embrace it? Throw your guns away, forget crosshair placement, and hang up the Vandal you think you can get a one-tap with. It's time to use your abilities to their maximum potential. In this video, we'll take a look at some of the most overpowered ability combinations in Valorant so you can win more games without breaking a sweat. I'm Chill, and let's get into it. With patch 4.04, we saw huge agent changes that were long awaited. This changed up some ability interactions that were kind of mind-blowing. Stick around and we'll see how those abilities may change up the meta in a big way. But first, let me refresh your memories a bit. Let's start out with some of the basics of combining abilities. There are different functions to abilities and some combinations are stronger than others. I won't list every type of ability here because, well, there's a lot. But if we take basic ability concepts, we can see that all abilities fall into these categories as shown on Valorant Wiki. The functions are as follows. Blinds, which consists of flashes and near sights. Crowd control, which are concusses, detain, displacements, and slows. Deterrence, which are mollies or other damage dealing abilities. Empowerment, which grants the player more damage or equipment. Intel, that is autonomous or controllable. Mobility, consisting of dashes, intangibles, or teleports. Sustains, like heals and revives. Suppressants, and vision blockers like smokes and walls. So yeah, there are quite a few ability functions. Not only that, but some abilities have multiple functions and can fall into multiple categories. You can kind of see how long this tier list took to make, so do me a favor and drop a like. My suffering is for your education. So now that we have a general understanding of ability functions, let's break up these combos into a tier list since everyone on the internet seems to love this format. To protect my sanity and time, I have created a list of all possible function combos and ranked those combos from S to D tier. After that, I chose the 3 best ability combos from there instead of going through every single ability in the game and seeing how they match up with each other. That would have taken an entire century. That being said, let's take a look at our S tier ability combos and see why I think they deserve the top spot. So in this tier list, we will go from the most insanely overpowered Riot please nerf level combos to the least effective combos that you shouldn't do anyway for any reason. S tier is reserved for ability combos that have the potential to be lethal and have a high degree of effectiveness. This tier consists of crowd control and deterrent abilities. The first combo is concuss abilities and aftershock. Any ability that can concuss, like Astra's Nova Pulse, Breach's Fault Line, and Neon's Relay Bolt, combined with aftershock, have the ability to take out enemies if used together. The next S tier combo is everyone's favorite Astra ability, Gravity Well, and raises Pain Shells, or Nade. This combo can be extremely lethal because it can keep enemies in one place while the nade does all the damage, and it has a pretty big AoE. Not only that, but if the nade comes in late and an enemy is hiding in a cubby, they will be vulnerable, allowing the nade to deal even more damage. Speaking of vulnerability, as an S tier honorable mention, I want to throw in Viper's Toxin, aka her Wall and Smoke, combined with Aftershock or Killjoy's Mollies. A setup like this can have huge returns but needs to be timed well to net a kill. Last, we have slow abilities and molly abilities. These two go hand in hand, and I really don't see this combo used as much as it should. Think Killjoy mollies and a Sage Slow Orb. That should be enough to convince you that this combo belongs at the very top. Alright, so moving over to our next best category, which is reserved for ability combos that may or may not be lethal and have a great deal of effectiveness. The first combo coming in is concuss abilities and raises Showstopper. This combo takes a little bit more communication than our S tier counterparts, but under the right conditions can be super helpful, especially during aggressive defensive rounds. Next, we have molly abilities and alarm bot. Most Killjoy mains are all too familiar with this combo, and for good reason. Her mollies pair very well with the alarm bot and have the potential to not only deter an enemy fast push, but deal some serious damage as well. Our last A tier combo is Gravity Well and Recon Bolt. This combo can either be used reactively or anticipatory. Reactively simply means when the dart goes out, Astra goes into astral form, places her star where the enemy is or is going to be, and sucks the tagged player. It can also be used to anticipate an attack while playing defense. Astra can place the smoke and Gravity Well at the entrance to a site, and when an enemy pushes, dart goes out and Astra pulls enemies. If caught in the Gravity Well, the enemy would have to decide to let the dart tag them and get out of the Gravity Well, or due to the accuracy penalty the well causes, wait to be sucked in and then shoot the dart reliably. It also gives you time to push into sight on attack and let your duelist pick up a frag. Moving on to B tier. These abilities go hand in hand, and although they may not be lethal, they have synergy synergy that makes them very strong tools to have in your team's arsenal. The first combo is Sky's Guiding Light and Breach's Fault Line, or other concusses. Since you can directly control the flight pattern of Guiding Light and get a sound cue if an enemy is blinded, you can combine this with Breach's Fault Line by holding the charge and releasing when an enemy becomes blinded. You may not always have two initiators in most games, so you could swap these agents with other flash/concuss combos to similar effect. The next combo is Gravity Well and Smoke. This combo should always be used on Astra and should be a staple. This combo has a similar effect as other vision blocking abilities and a slow ability. Very effective for delaying enemy attack pushes onto sight. And third, we have Sova's Owl Drone and Hunter's Fury. This combo is one of the safest and most effective ways to take a site while also netting a potential kill with Hunter's Fury. Not much else to add except you can do the same with Sova Dart. For C tier, these combos can still prove useful but don't necessarily have the same effectiveness and potency of the previously mentioned combos. Our first one, going back to Sova with Hunter's Fury and a flash ability. Flashing the enemy before activating Hunter's Fury can give you a better chance of blasting the enemy with your bow laser. Next, we have Sova's Recon Bolt and Jet's Tailwind, or Dash. This is a great sight entry tool that can play out like this. Sova darts sight where an enemy may be playing. Jet dashes into her smoke on sight as the dart lands. Jet stays in her smoke and kills the tagged enemy through her smoke. If the enemy destroys the dart before being tagged, and if the timing is good, Jet can peek out of her smoke and catch the enemy trying to shoot the dart. This one is only in C tier because it takes good coordination and timing with your teammates. At a higher level or pro level, this would probably be closer to A or B tier. Next, we have Raze's Boombot and Smokes. On both attack and defense, you can use the combo of Smokes and Raze's Boombot to take space for you and determine if pushing into a smoke on attack is safe and if an enemy is in your smoke or behind it on defense. Another honorable mention this time for C tier. With the change to Brim's Stim Beacon adding 15% speed boost, this change unexpectedly ramped up some agent abilities. This includes Neon's High Gear and Overdrive, Raze's Boombot, Sky's Trailblazer, and Yoru's Gatecrash and Dimensional Drift. I think you would see the most benefit from Boombot and Trailblazer since these abilities can potentially give you more info with their extended travel distance. Nothing game breaking, but thought I should mention it. In D tier, we're now taking a look at some combinations that don't really give you and your team much to work with, and are maybe a bit of an inefficient use of the abilities together. The first is a Flash Knife combo. KO's Knife is a great ability on its own, and adding a flash while pushing the defense and opening up the site if they're suppressed, this can give you an advantage if these conditions are met. On the flip side, this combo can work well for an attacking team trying to execute onto a site. Say they put up a Viper wall to enter site. Knifing the Viper to force the wall down and flashing through the wall right as this happens can be very effective, but may not be too effective if the enemy is prepared for it. Next would be Molly abilities combined with Hunter's Fury. This is very specific to post plants and it can be swapped out with an ult like Brim's Orbital Strike. You could also maybe Molly a Cubby to force out a player and Sova ult another area near where they were repositioning to. Harder to coordinate and doesn't really have a place together other than post plants. Last, we have Molly's and Toxic Screen. Molly's mostly meaning Viper Snakebite since you'll be playing near your wall anyway. Mollying the side of the wall that you suspect the enemy to cross over can be a nice surprise for them, and since they will be vulnerable from the wall, the Molly will do extra damage and keep them vulnerable. Unfortunately, most of the players will wait for the wall to go down anyway and then see the Molly. And that brings us to the end of the video, but before I go, here's a look at the full function tier list I used to break down these combos. Feel free to pause the video if you need to take a look at it. I'm sure some people will place these combos in different spots, but I did my best. And here's the full ability tier list of the best abilities in each tier. Some of the combos might have not made the top 3 for their tier, but could be equally as useful to the 3 I selected. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing, and that's why we have pictures, to understand things a little bit better. Alright guys, that about sums up the ability combo tier list. Did you have fun? Leave a comment below and let me know if there is some tier list out there for Valorant that somehow hasn't been made yet. There's tier lists for everything nowadays, aren't there? If you enjoyed the video, then drop a like and have a great day. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.